The South China Sea simmers with tension. At the heart of this maritime standoff is a small Southeast Asian nation facing off against a regional powerhouse, the Philippines, versus China. The question on everyone's mind, can the Philippines truly stand up to China's growing assertiveness in the West Philippine Sea? The Philippines faces a formidable challenge. China's military dwarfs that of the Philippines in size and capability. China's Coast Guard, often at the forefront of these maritime disputes, also possesses superior equipment and manpower. This disparity in military might raise serious questions about the Philippines' ability to defend its maritime claims. Despite these challenges, the Philippines has not backed down. It continues to assert its sovereign rights in the region, driven by a combination of international law, historical claims, and a desire to protect its own exclusive economic zone. The Philippines understands that surrendering its claims would have dire consequences for its economy, security, and its place in the international community. The answer to whether the Philippines can stand up to China is complex. It depends not only on military might, but also on international support, diplomatic maneuvering, and the resolve of the Filipino people. What is clear is that the stakes are incredibly high, and the outcome of this struggle will have far-reaching consequences. The West Philippine Sea, though geographically distant to many, holds immense global importance. This body of water is not just a source of natural resources and fishing grounds, it is a vital artery of global trade. A significant portion of the world's shipping lanes pass through this region, carrying trillions of dollars worth of goods each year. Control over the West Philippine Sea would give China unprecedented influence over these crucial trade routes. This prospect has alarmed many nations, including the United States, Japan, and Australia, who rely heavily on these sea lanes for their own economic security. Beyond trade, the West Philippine Sea is also strategically important. China's construction of artificial islands and military installations in the region has raised concerns about freedom of navigation and the potential militarization of the South China Sea. The ongoing dispute, therefore, has implications that extend far beyond the immediate region. It represents a test of the international rules-based order and the balance of power in the Asia-Pacific. The world is watching closely as the Philippines and China navigate this complex and potentially volatile situation. The current standoff in the West Philippine Sea is the culmination of decades-long territorial disputes. China claims almost the entirety of the South China Sea, including areas within the Philippines' 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone, EEZ, as defined by the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS. China bases its claims on historical maps and documents, asserting that it has indisputable sovereignty over the region. However, these claims are contested by the Philippines and other Southeast Asian countries, who argue that they violate international law and infringe upon their own territorial integrity. The Philippines, in particular, points to its historical ties to the Spratly Islands and its proximity to the disputed areas as evidence of its legitimate claim. It further argues that China's actions in the region, including the harassment of Filipino fishermen and the construction of military installations, directly threaten its national security and economic interests. This historical context is crucial for understanding the complexities of the current situation. The disputed claims, rooted in history and amplified by present-day geopolitical realities, have created a volatile environment where even small incidents can quickly escalate into major international crises. Recent years have witnessed a marked increase in tensions in the West Philippine Sea. China's growing assertiveness, manifested in its expanding Coast Guard presence and aggressive maritime militia activities, has led to numerous confrontations with the Philippines. One notable incident occurred in 2012 when Chinese vessels effectively took control of Scarborough Shoal, a traditional fishing ground within the Philippines' EEZ. This incident sparked international condemnation and highlighted China's willingness to use force to assert its claims. More recently, the Philippines has accused China of using its Coast Guard vessels to harass and intimidate Filipino fishermen, denying them access to their traditional fishing grounds. The use of water cannons and dangerous maneuvers has raised concerns about the potential for escalation and miscalculation. In response to China's actions, the Philippines has stepped up its own military patrols in the region and strengthened its alliance with the United States. Joint military exercises and increased military aid from the U.S. are seen as a way for the Philippines to deter further Chinese aggression. These recent developments underscore the precarious situation in the West Philippine Sea. The potential for miscalculation or an accidental clash remains high, and any escalation could have significant regional and global consequences. The Philippines faces a number of challenges in its effort to defend its maritime claims and ensure its national security in the face of Chinese assertiveness. The most obvious challenge is the significant military imbalance between the two countries. China's rapidly modernizing military boasts a far larger navy, a more advanced air force, and a vast Coast Guard fleet. In contrast, the Philippines' military is significantly smaller and less equipped, relying on outdated equipment and limited resources. This disparity in military capability makes it difficult for the Philippines to directly confront China militarily. Any direct confrontation would likely result in a swift and decisive defeat for the Philippines, leaving it with few options to protect its interests. However, the Philippines is not without its strengths. It benefits from a strategic location, controlling key waterways in the South China Sea. It also enjoys strong international support for its position, particularly from the United States and other countries concerned about China's expansionism. The Philippines is also pursuing a strategy of asymmetric warfare, focusing on enhancing its maritime domain awareness, strengthening its Coast Guard capabilities, and deepening its security partnerships with like-minded nations. Despite the tensions, the Philippines remains committed to resolving the dispute through peaceful means. It has consistently called for a rules-based approach, emphasizing the importance of international law, particularly UNCLOS, in governing maritime disputes. In 2016, the Philippines secured a landmark victory at the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague. The tribunal ruled overwhelmingly in favor of the Philippines, invalidating China's expansive claims in the South China Sea and affirming the Philippines' sovereign rights within its EEZ. China, however, has refused to recognize the tribunal's ruling, dismissing it as null and void. This rejection of international law has raised concerns about China's commitment to a rules-based order and its willingness to abide by international norms. Despite China's stance, the Philippines continues to use the arbitral ruling as a basis for its diplomatic efforts. It has sought to rally international support for the ruling and to pressure China to comply with its obligations under UNCLOS. The Philippines has also engaged in bilateral and multilateral dialogues with China and other Southeast Asian nations to manage tensions and explore avenues for cooperation in the South China Sea. While these efforts have yet to yield a lasting solution, they represent an important step towards peaceful conflict resolution. The ongoing dispute in the West Philippine Sea has far-reaching strategic implications, not only for the Philippines and China, but also for the wider Asia-Pacific region and the international community as a whole. The dispute has become a focal point of geopolitical competition between the United States and China. The U.S., seeking to maintain its dominance in the region, views China's actions as a direct challenge to its interests and has increased its military presence in the South China Sea. This heightened U.S. involvement raises the stakes of the conflict, increasing the risk of miscalculation and escalation. A military clash between the U.S. and China, however unlikely, would have catastrophic consequences for the region and the world. The dispute also threatens to destabilize Southeast Asia. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, which includes the Philippines, has been divided over how to respond to China's assertiveness. Some ASEAN members, heavily reliant on China economically, have been reluctant to confront Beijing directly. The ongoing tensions also hinder regional cooperation on other critical issues such as combating piracy, protecting marine resources, and promoting economic development. The South China Sea, instead of being a source of shared prosperity, risks becoming a flashpoint for conflict and instability. The situation in the West Philippine Sea is complex and constantly evolving. It is essential to move beyond simplistic narratives and engage with the issue in a nuanced and informed manner. Educate yourself about the historical context of the dispute, the legal framework governing maritime claims, and the perspectives of all parties involved. Seek out diverse sources of information from reputable media outlets, academic journals, and think tanks. Engage in respectful dialogue with others who may hold different viewpoints. Listen actively, ask clarifying questions, and be open to challenging your own assumptions. Support organizations working to promote peace, diplomacy, and the rule of law in the South China Sea. This could involve donating to NGOs, participating in advocacy campaigns, or simply raising awareness about the issue within your own networks. By becoming more informed and engaged citizens, we can contribute to a more peaceful and stable future for the West Philippine Sea and the Asia-Pacific region as a whole. If you found this video informative, please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share it with your friends to help spread awareness.